Good afternoon, good day, everybody. It's Brina, and we're back with midweek motivation. And I pray you're having a good week. Please continue to stay safe. Please continue to wear your mask. I know that we are in the middle of a vaccine rollout, and if you're able to get it now, please do so. But I do encourage you to continue to stay safe, social distance, wear your mask, wash your hands, use hand sanitizer, all of that. All right, so that's my PSA for today. Um, we're doing a little bit of a series on Nehemiah. And what started as one word in Nehemiah is now turning into a series. And so I hope you're enjoying it. The first episode, if you will, talked about seeking guidance. And then last week we talked about having a plan. So we're going to continue with the story of Nehemiah, still in Nehemiah chapter 2. And we see that after the king has given him permission to go to Jerusalem to look at the walls, to help rebuild the walls that have been burned and torn down, we see that in Nehemiah 2, verse 11, we see that Nehemiah is now in Jerusalem. He's been there for a few days and then he decides to inspect the area. So he goes by night by himself to inspect what's happening, to see what's happening, and he is able to see the extent of the destruction. And then we get to verse 17, and this is where I want to pick up today. Then I said to them, and this is Nehemiah talking, "You see the trouble we are in. Jerusalem lies in ruins, and its gates have been burned with fire. Come, let us rebuild the wall of Jerusalem, and we will no longer be in disgrace." Verse 18 says, I also told them about the gracious hand of God, and I underlined that in my Bible. The gracious hand of God upon me, and what the king had said to me. They replied, they, the people who were in Jerusalem, replied, "Let us start rebuilding." So they began this good work. And then I want to skip down to verse 20, where Nehemiah responds to a couple of folks who are against what he's doing. And so Nehemiah's response is, "The God of heaven will give us success." So the word for today is believe. So Nehemiah has sought guidance from God. He went to the king. He had a plan, and so now he's ready to move forward in his plan. But before he can move forward in his plan, he has to believe. He believes that he was called to do this work, and those who are coming alongside him also believe that they're called to do this work and that they will be successful. As it says in verse 20, the God of heaven will give us success. So Nehemiah was convinced that he should do this, right? And so the lesson for us is that as we seek guidance from God on how to move forward on something, and then we come up with a plan, we have to believe. If God told us to do something, we have to believe that He will enable us to accomplish it. We have to believe that He will help us to get it done if this is from God. Now, if it's not from God, that's something else. But just like Nehemiah sought God, he prayed in Nehemiah chapter 1. God led him to go to the king to share with the king what was going on. The king gave him permission to go, and Nehemiah has a plan as to how he wants to move forward. And so now he is believing that it will come to pass. So, my question for you today is, are you believing that the things that God has told you to do and to accomplish will come to pass? Are you believing God that, as it says in verse 20, the God of heaven will give you success? My prayer is that you do believe and that you trust by faith that those things that God has called you to do will get done. Now, at this point in the book of Nehemiah, Nehemiah, does not know how long it will take to rebuild the wall. He does not know that he will receive opposition because eventually he will. And we'll talk about that as we go through forward in the series. But all he knows is that he's been called to this work and that God has promised him that he will be successful. And he believes that God will be with him in this work. So the word for today is believe. My prayer is that you believe that God will accomplish through you what he's told you that he will do. Even if you can't see the end, even if you don't know how it's going to get done, we just believe that God will give us success. So I pray that word blesses you today. Tune in next week for the next part in this series on Nehemiah, and we hope to see you